Good afternoon. My name is Lucero Vargas Mendoza, and I'm in your Tuesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. class. And for the second learning module, I am going to be analyzing, connecting, and identifying Levinas' theory of ethics of encountering the face of the other through the 1998 film American History X. So the movie is about Derek, a former founder of a neo-Nazi gang who kills two black men he thinks are stealing his car. Throughout the film, we see Derek change. He confronts racism, violence, establishes redemption by trying to prevent his brother Danny from following in his footsteps. So, Levinas believes we have an ethical responsibility to our neighbor, not empathy, but an ethical responsibility. When encountering the face of the other, we're knocked out of our bubble, our own little world, beliefs, ideas, pretty much our comfort zone. And the other being a person outside of ourselves with their own identity, their own ideas, a being or person with value and dignity. So when encountering the face of the other, we're also encountering the ethical. Do we see and respect others' differences and resist totalizing? The ethical thing to do is to resist totalizing. And totalizing is pretty much reducing someone or something to other, meaning putting them into a box of it's just this or it's just that. It's the basis of violence, of exploitation, of genocide, and then there's levels to totalizing. There's the conscious, the semi-conscious, and the unconscious. So let's deep dive into it and deep dive into the film. So Derek was the neo-Nazi gang leader who was incarcerated for killing two black men. One he shoots, providing distance, and the other is very graphic. Derek is fully immersed and believes that black people and other minorities are the enemy. The reason for the difficulties in his life, he reduces his population to pretty much a threat to his family, his community, and his white identity. Not only does he believe this, but it's used as a recruitment tool to create a gang. We see this totalization, which is very conscious at the beginning, as he spews racist rhetoric. He has no respect for other communities, and the moment when he kills these black men. So one he shoots, as we know, and the second one that got shot and couldn't get away, Derek opens his mouth, puts it on the sidewalk or the curb, and just he stomps on his head. So this gruesome scene, we see Eric was not knocked out of his bubble or outside his belief system. He had no ethical responsibility to the other, and he killed him. He had completely dehumanized black people, allowing him to rationalize killing criminals. While his brother had a different experience in that moment. His brother pretty much was like, no, Derek. But it's not until Derek goes to prison and gets a job in the laundry unit with a man named Lamont, with a black man named Lamont. And in this moment, he begins to reach semi-conscious totalization. So Lamont is an embodiment of that in which he already knows. Derek already knows that people are deserving of respect and dignity. Of course, it's a process, and he doesn't completely leave his totalized beliefs, but he does begin to confront them. This middle ground of questioning really represents that semi-consciousness. He begins to realize that his views are flawed, but hasn't fully let go. It's through conversations and laughter that he's able to begin to see Lamont as human. And we see this when Lamont talks about his own story in prison. Lamont goes to prison for stealing a TV. When the officer pulls on Lamont's arm and the TV falls on the officer's foot, he is now charged with assault. Derek tries to justify, there's no way that's the reason, because he hasn't fully let go of his own beliefs. And in this moment, he's encountering the face of the other. He's thrown out of his bubble and his thought process, and he begins to question, his ideologies. Well, during this process, the neo-Nazi gang in prison starts to realize that there's a change in him. So the gang jumps him. Not only do they jump him, they sexually assault him. After the assault, Derek makes a very open decision and stance and renounces the neo-Nazi group or being a member by sitting by himself. Yeah. Not only does the gang realize that Derek has changed, but so does Lamont. And Lamont goes out on a limb for Derek, making sure he won't be attacked now that he's publicly renounced his membership. So through the movie, the brother is kind of like the narrator. And at this point, he is reflecting the unconscious. Like, when did this come to be? How did this come to be? So Derek unconsciously starts having racist mentality because of his dad. Derek was excited. He had a black professor with a doctorate. He starts reading different books, and his dad stops him and pretty much begins to integrate these racist ideologies and influence him. But when Derek leaves prison, he's a free and autonomous individual in the sense that he renounces his white supremacist beliefs and begins to take responsibility. He asks his girlfriend to leave with him. He confronts Cameron Alexander and refuses to kill Ryan when Ryan wants to kill him for leaving the group and publicly announcing that he's out. He says, I'm out. He's taking this responsibility, and amongst everyone who's been waiting for him to come out, he says, I'm out. I'm out of the gang. I no longer want to be a part of this. So Derek makes an internal choice to define himself from his dad's prejudiced rhetoric, from Cameron Alexander's manipulation, the neo-Nazi gang's white supremacist ideologies, and makes a conscious decision to walk away. So in this moment, based on Levinas, Derek is an individual that now sees and respects the humanity of others, has made a choice to resist and rebuke totalizing, and that makes him a free and autonomous individual. This was a great film. I really enjoyed it. It was a hard watch, to say the least, especially with the words that were said, but I thought it kind of went backwards on the process of Levinas. You know, it's not this moment. He encounters the other in very different ways, and you see Derek initially just not care. Like, yep, I'm totalizing. They're not human. I don't care. He has this moment as he's meeting Lamont and getting to know him. He's vulnerable. And when Lamont tells his story, that's when he's encountering the other. He is uncomfortable, thrown out of his whole thing. And he decides to leave the gang, and the gang is seeing that change and pretty much assaults him. So we see him go through totalization, semi-conscious, and we realize where his unconscious is based on his brother's reflection, that it started with his dad. That's when these ideas really came through. So I really enjoyed this assignment, and thank you. Sorry for the 8 minutes. Take care.